For years and years now, NBA draft and NBA prospects have been trying to find a way around going to college. LeBron came out of high school. Tracy McGrady came out of high school. Kobe Bryant came out of high school. LaMelo Ball went to a whole new continent to play in the NBL just so he didn't have to go to college. And I think in the 2023 draft class, we're seeing a culmination of these things where like the potential top four picks all didn't go to college. I think that's a real possibility. Victor Wembanyama, Scoot Henderson, and then the Thompson twins, Amen and Nassar Thompson. Even last year, Jalen Green, Jaden Hardy. I guess 2 years ago with Jalen Green. 2 years ago with Jalen Green. Last year, Jaden Hardy. Real NBA talent and real NBA prospects are finding a way of coming around and avoiding the way of going to college.
It's the editor here. Like and subscribe. I didn't say that in the video.
Now, there's obviously some changes. Luka, Victor Wembanyama, Kristaps Porzingis, they lived overseas and they played basketball there. But college basketball has had such a grip on NBA prospects for what seems like the better part of like 20 years. The only real way, taking that 1 year in between high school and the NBA, was college basketball. Colleges like Duke, Kentucky, UNC were kind of running the basketball world that wasn't the NBA. But this year, we're seeing a new evolution of NBA player, of NBA prospect. The G League has become a real viable solution of players that want to get paid and they want to play against higher competition. The G League competition is a lot higher, in my opinion, than college. These are people that have gotten drafted, people that went undrafted but still got signed. A lot of college players don't do that. Last year, Jaden Hardy decided that he was going to go to the G League and play for the G League Ignite instead of going to college. I personally think if he went to college, he would have been a top 10 draft pick easily because he would have put up ridiculous numbers in college. But in the G League, you have to account for NBA three-point line, NBA players, Lance Stevenson, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, all players that you had to play against last year. Real legitimate NBA talent that you don't quite see as often in college. Now, of course, you're going to run into the typical NBA prospect, but it's not quite the same. And now overseas has become so popular with Dyson Daniels, Josh Giddey, LaMelo Ball coming from America to play overseas for a year, when sometimes foreign prospects would go to college because that was what was quote unquote better. Josh Green from Australia went to Arizona. But now there's another avenue that's starting to form. The Thompson twins, for those of you who don't know, are two twin brothers that are playing in the Overtime Elite League. And now the Overtime Elite League is kind of weird to me, where it's kind of school, it's kind of the G League, but it's all very strange. I don't personally know what to think of the Overtime Elite League yet. They have some real talent there. The Thompson twins are arguably the third and fourth pick in this year. They're like 6'8", shifty guards that have the athleticism out the wazoo. But they're an Overtime Elite, which might be really weak competition with a very heavy social media presence. The Thompson twins are the baby child of Overtime Elite. If the Thompson twins do really well in the league, the first like 3 or 4 years, I can see Overtime Elite being a very legitimate way that NBA prospects skip and go there instead of going to college. But if the Thompson twins like 5 years down the line, it's very clear that Overtime Elite kind of set them up for failure, then I think Overtime Elite is just straight up out the window. I think the Thompson twins have a lot riding on them for that. But the one that is most viable, and I think is the best way for a prospect to play, is the G League. Like I said, higher competition, NBA 3, which I think is a very big thing. And you get not NBA money, but you get very legitimate money. Now, college basketball has the NIL deals, but I think in the G League, depending on, who you are, I think the money could even be better. And you get to experience NBA life instead of college life. Now, I'm not sure if the 2023 draft class is going to make or break college basketball, but I think that the possibility of having a very legitimate competition to college basketball is a good thing. I think that makes college basketball adapt. I think personally, other ways of getting players paid, like the G League, had a little bit to do with the NIL. It's not the largest part, but I think a little bit of that trickled down. It was a part of why college players are now getting paid. Now they were getting paid anyway, but now they're legally getting paid. I think players like Jalen Green and Jaden Hardy and Scoot Henderson this year are going to be the real poster childs of the G League. Now, if they come out looking rough, now Jalen Green is a great player. He's a fascinating player to watch, and he started in the G League. Jaden Hardy, we don't know what he is quite yet. Started in the G League, and that's a brand new thing. That isn't something players have been doing for 10 or so years. That's something that the G League Ignite, I guess is what it's called, has been there for a couple years. I think Jonathan Kuminga even went straight from the G League Ignite. And even Jonathan Kuminga, I think, is a really good shot to be really good in this league. So the question I am proposing is, with the success of the G League Ignite in the past couple of years of getting NBA prospects and NBA talent through their door, how is college basketball going to continue to recruit these top-level talents when a lot of them very clearly don't want to go to college? I mean, Shaedon Sharpe last year even sat out a whole year. That's not something we see very often. Usually players put their heads down, play that 1 year in college basketball, and just let it go. I think this is personally great for the NBA because it's easier to televise games and make money off of games for the NBA if players are going to the G League. And now, like I said, Overtime Elite, completely different. I have no idea what to think of Overtime Elite yet. Kind of waiting for their season to start this year. Now we're really honed in on what the Thompson twins are. But for right now, that seems like it has a chance to be an avenue to the NBA. But I'm not completely sure. I think 5 years down the road, we're going to see a shift. I think we're going to see a shift of legitimate NBA prospects going to the G League, going to the G League Ignite, and the G League expanding and getting like a G League Ignite 2, where there's more teams that take on high school players. Because I think it is the best way to prepare you for the NBA. I think it's the best way for players to understand and get used to professional ball, which I think makes them better in the long run. Scoot Henderson last year and Dyson Daniels last year were playing in the G League Ignite. Both of them top 10 picks this year and last. I think it's a great thing. I think the G League Ignite is the NBA's way of combating college basketball. And overseas is always going to be overseas. There's nothing the NBA can really do about that because overseas basketball is such a high level of talent. Players are very well equipped coming into the G League. Luka said it's harder to score here than it was overseas, which, I mean, he's averaging like 30 points per game. So you tell me. Thank you for watching. It's been Empty Stats, and I'll see you later.